So we're made good, but a lot of women don't believe that. It just takes consistency. That's one of the biggest problems that most women have with their health is being able to stick with something for more than 2 weeks, a month, or 3 months. What we don't want is this blind, dated, incomplete, and honestly super unhelpful diet culture workouts, which is I'm going to drop my calories as low as possible and do as much cardio as I can. Your fitness and nutrition should take into account that you are a woman, because part of that strategy is going to be your time, wherever your hormones are at, and then whatever goals you have for your fertility and for your aesthetic goals. And that's where proper strategy saves you a lot of a headache. If I only started with this one, that would change the trajectory of my life. My quality of life would improve dramatically in 1 week of me committing to that one habit.
Welcome back to the Catholic Woman Podcast. We are so excited for today's episode because I get to talk with the Catholic Nutritionist, you guys. I have been following her on Instagram. I have her new book, and I am so excited for this chat today. It's going to be a really good one, especially in the middle of Lent. I know a lot of people do food-related things for Lent, and we're right in the middle of Lent right now, so you might be really feeling a struggle. So this will be a good conversation that we get to have today. But before we dive in, I am going to remind you guys that we are on YouTube again this season. Join us on YouTube. Go subscribe over there to help bump the show and get it out to new audiences. Video podcasts are the new thing. For the longest time, it was audio only, but now video is taking off. So I'd really appreciate if you could help us over there. It's really hard to get a new channel up and running. So jump over. I'll leave the link in the show notes. Just go subscribe. Even if you're going to continue to listen on audio, that's fine. Just help us with a subscribe over there. And then also we have a Substack now too, where we continue the conversation beyond just these podcasts in deeper formats. So if you want to join our Substack, the link will be in the show notes for that as well. All right. So Florencia Moynihan is the Catholic Nutritionist, and she's a nutritional therapy practitioner, femme instructor, and women's health advocate. She is the host of the Made Good podcast and runs a thriving practice dedicated to helping women heal through faith, bio-individual care, and the integration of body and soul. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Marie. I'm so excited to be here. And you're so right. Lent is such a good time to have this conversation. So I'm really excited.
It is, yes. And before we actually dive into our conversation, for those who don't follow you on Instagram, which they should, there has been a little saga going on. You were at Seek and signing books, and somehow your copy got away. So do you want to tell everyone about that little story? Maybe someone listening happens to have your copy of your book.
Thank you for bringing this up, because also at this point, I feel like people keep reminding me that it happened and I keep forgetting. I was on a call today and someone was like, "Did you find your book?" And I was like, I should be talking about this every single day of my life until I find the book. So I'm a first-time author and I'm very giddy about it, and I'm not chill and I'm not cool. And so I was like, I can't believe that people are asking me to sign their book. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. I want them to sign mine. And so I started a copy where when I would sit down and sign someone's book, I'd be like, "Hey, can you sign mine back?" And it was getting filled with the sweet actual notes. People were like writing to me. And I was like, what the heck? You guys are going so above and beyond. And so I would like go to my house at the end of the night and read through them and like cry and just the sweetest things.
Yeah.
And then one day we had a little table where at my booth where I would sit and sign. And I had a stack of books, clean books. And then I had mine and I would go, "Hey, can you sign this one?" And then I would pull from a stack, sign someone else's. In the excitement, in the shuffle, I set mine aside, and then I think someone thought that it was theirs, grabbed it, and went after they signed. So that copy is missing. I don't know where it is. I want it back so bad. So if you or someone bought a copy of Made Good at Seek in Columbus and got it signed, if you could just open it back up and make sure that it says your name on the inside and a note from me rather than it saying "Dear Flo" everywhere and notes to me. My only suspicion, I hope that I'm right, because otherwise I'm calling out a random name for no reason. My only suspicion is one of the last girls that bought a book on that day. Her name was Pia, and she had left her copy. I found a random copy and it had my note to her. And so my hope is that she grabbed mine. So if you know a girl named Pia who is very, very sweet, she was from the East Coast and potentially bought the copy of the book, I have to do something really dramatic when someone finally submits it. I don't know what the bounty's going to be and the reward, but let me know when you have it. And I'll pay for the shipping for it to come back and then some.
There you go. I hope we find it, and yeah, maybe it is Pia's, maybe it's not, but maybe if you happen to know a Pia from the Coast, see if it's her,
Just
because
ask
that would
her.
be great to get this book back. Thank you for sharing that story because I really think, being a first-time author, that's huge. You don't wanna lose your, inaugural book signing copy that people were signing for you, so, yeah, let's hope we can find that and get it back. Okay, now let's actually dive into like the meat of today's episode. And we are just going to be talking a lot about integration of body and soul and healing our bodies. So let's start with you, Flo. What was your personal journey like? Can you tell us a little bit about how you even got into nutrition therapy and what that has looked like for you, how you got to where you are today?
Yes. I love the way that Catholics understand the word passion so differently than anyone else, because we think about passion, it's like what I'm really passionate about, what makes me excited, but we also think about it as like your profound core suffering, your road to Calvary, and my passion for health comes from my own suffering, really. So I always joke that it was like my Bermuda triangle of suffering, which was my disordered eating and body image issues for the majority of my life, really, really deeply struggling with a spirit of control and this like endless pursuit of skinny. Then the second piece was once I was in middle school and my period came around, they were awful. They were debilitating. They were excruciating. I missed a lot of school because of my period and was only ever told that my only option was birth control, which thanks be to God, my mother was like, absolutely not. But there was really no other tool given. It was just, hey, you just have to suck it up and deal with it. This is what happens. The most I was getting from doctors was you can take up to 8 ibuprofen a day, which is also not true. The third piece was daily stomach aches. I'm a gut girly. I saw a joke once that every girl you know is either a migraine girl or a gut girl. I am indeed a gut girl.
I feel like
And
that's
so
true.
this constant, right? Can't you think of people off the top of your
Yes.
head? So I am a gut girl and I would have stomach aches every single day and again would go to the doctor and be like, this is not working. I was like in college or I needed to go to work every day and was just told you just have IBS. There's nothing. It's just an irritable bowel and there ain't nothing you can do about it except for one doctor who told me I should go vegetarian, which is also not the solution, but I did try
Mhm.
that. So I would start trying a lot of different diets to see if I could get any kind of relief. I really figured, well, if food is triggering stomach aches, then there must be a way that food can heal it too. And
Mhm.
this was my very early dissatisfaction with kind of the conventional medical system and thinking this is so incomplete. Obviously, it has a time and a place. I'm very grateful for all the good help and the good doctors that I've had, but it is incomplete and there's no one that's addressing the actual root of my concerns or even giving me options to heal with natural tools. So from a younger age, I remember around 17, 18 being like, okay, I need to figure this out with food. And it wasn't until after I was a focused missionary that really it started to all come together. And the Lord was like, okay, if we're going to heal your gut, we're also going to heal your cycle. If we're going to heal your gut and your cycle, we're also going to heal your relationship with food. Because ultimately, everything needs to start with this belief that I made you good and that I want good things for you and I want to heal your body. And that's really where it
Mhm.
all began.
Oh, that's so true. And honestly, I feel like so many women can relate to that. I feel like every woman I've met either struggles with their period or acne or gut issues. And all of these can really be boiled down to, obviously there's some things that you, like you said, need traditional medical treatment. My sister's alive today because of that with her heart conditions. But then most of the health issues that the rest of us deal with can be treated with food and other natural ways of treating our bodies. God gave us what we need, and we just live in a very modernized world that has gone astray in many of those ways. So let's start with kind of that. God did make us good. Many women don't feel that, don't believe that, have been bullied for their weight, or just don't, we have these crazy models to look up to that's not really realistic either. So what lies are women believing about their bodies? And how do we break free from those? God so deeply wants you to know that you are loved. He aches to share that with you. Hey, I'm Britt, and somehow I know that, and yet I still have a hard time making time for consistent prayer. I feel myself pulled in a dozen directions, overwhelmed and overstimulated. I was in the chapel getting distracted during prayer again when I looked up and heard the birds chirping. I realized if I don't even notice the birds chirping all around me, How am I going to hear the Holy Spirit? Since then, I've begun to notice. I gaze at the crucifix in my home. I feel the warmth of the sun. I listen to the birds. And now I light a candle. Specifically, a candle made with non-toxic ingredients that's tied to a scripture passage, a birdie candle. Every time I walk into the room, I smell the scent and momentarily reflect on the passage. If you'd like to be reminded of the stories like Martha and Mary with a lavender and chamomile scent, or the burning bush with a smoky fragrance, for example, then use code CWP10 for 10% off your order. Visit birdiecandles.com. That's BRDY candles.com and use the code CWP10. And I just have to say, I personally use these candles in my home. I am very, very sensitive to scents. Most candles give me a horrible headache, but the birdie candles don't. And they are so beautiful. They just draw me into the present moment, bring me back to reality and to just noticing, as Britt says, noticing the sun, the birds, my children, our time together. So visit BRDYcandles.com and use the code CWP10. Sister Lucia of Fatima once said, "There is no problem, no matter how difficult, that we cannot solve by the prayer of the Holy Rosary." Today's sponsor, Choose Life, truly lives by those words. Choose Life is a Catholic-owned small business whose mission is simple but bold: to equip every Catholic in every age and season with rosaries for life. For the littlest Catholics, Choose Life offers silicone rosaries that are soft, durable, and made for hands to safely explore and grow in love with the rosary. It's like watching your child reach out to hold Our Lady's hand. We have so many of these silicone ones in our house, and they are so cute. Perfect for the kids to pray along with and chew on as well when they're little babies. And then for women, their excuse-proof rosary bracelet is both beautiful and wearable. A gemstone rosary designed to keep prayer close throughout your day, whether you're at work, running errands, or caring for your family. Each bracelet includes a unique bookmark crucifix charm so that you can pause and pick up right where you left off, because life and prayer do go hand in hand. And also for the men in your life, that same craftsmanship continues through cruxandvixta.com, Choose Life's brother brand, which features bold paracord and gemstone rosary bracelets that remind us victory comes through the cross. And for those wanting to go deeper in prayer, founder Shannon Went's new book, The Weight of the Rosary, A Journey with Mary Through Scripture, Liturgy, and Life, is now available. It's a powerful invitation to walk with Mary and rediscover the mysteries of the Rosary in a whole new way. And we actually just had Shannon on to talk about this incredible book too. So if you haven't listened to that, go back a few episodes to check it out, because you are not going to want to miss her testimony about the Rosary. So you can find all of these at chooselife.com or CRUXINVICTA.com. And as a special thank you to the Catholic women listeners, you can use the code TCW15 for 15% off your order on either site. It's TCW for the Catholic woman, 15 for 15% off on both Choose Life and cruxandvicta.com. Thank you so much, Shannon, and Choose Life and Crux and Victa for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, great question. I think, and you bring up a good point of saying, you said, okay, so we're made good, but a lot of women don't believe that. And I think Catholic women in particular, especially I think women that have grown up Catholic and or have been like really, really deeply immersed in the church and in our faith, you know so many sayings and so many scriptures and so many principles and so many theological truths like the back of your hand. You can rattle it off really, really quickly. I would argue that one lie is that it can just stay as like a surface level thing, but it's not a big deal if you don't actually believe it for you. I know this. I believe this for everyone else. Like, oh man, Marie, I think you are so good. I don't actually believe that for myself, but that's okay. We can just move on. And that is just not true, because also there will be a point where you thinking one thing and living another or you speaking one thing from your mouth and you living within a different reality within your mind will cause some kind of dissolution. There will be some kind of separation there. We are created for integrity and for wholeness. The root of integrity is this integer, wholeness. And we have to be one with our own mind and with our own body. And so it's a really big problem if you find that a lot of the things that you say, you don't actually believe. And I'm saying this from my own heart too, which was that I was literally a full-time focus missionary. And I was on campus every single day. And all I wanted was for every single person to know that Jesus Christ is Lord and that he loves them. And for every single woman to know that she is a beloved daughter and to know that he has good plans for them and that they can trust him and that Jesus is trustworthy. Like so many different things. And I wanted them to know their goodness and I wanted them to be free. But at the same time, what I was doing in my own life, as soon as I went into my house and went to my room and closed the door, I was crying every single day. I was starving myself. I was obsessed with how I looked. I was consumed by my dieting. I was doing strict intermittent fasting, carnivore. I was doing all of these things. And on the outside, I was saying, well, it's helping me with my inflammation. I don't have stomach aches anymore. That was true, but my mind was completely falling apart. So I think one of the biggest lies that need to be addressed first is that it's okay if I think one thing, but I say another, because Jesus wants a lot more for you than that. He wants more for you than to be like, oh, well, I know that this is true for her, but I don't really know where he is in this part of my heart and in part of my life, because that will become either the soil of one of your greatest redemptions, or it can become this terrible quicksand that will suck you into a lot of despair, a lot of discouragement, a lot of lies can grow there and fester in wounds where we haven't allowed the Lord to bring his light in, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think something you touched on that's I'd really like to dive further into is having the nutrition aspect down and almost knowing the practical things to do, but struggling with the faith side, struggling with the internal talk side. So how can we blend faith and the practical nutrition side of health together? How do they work together? I'm sure you really need the faith side to actually make the nutrition work and for you to thrive. But I think it's so hard for people to blend those naturally because in the world we see it's very compartmentalized. There's nutrition, there's working out, and then there's your faith. And I rarely see a blending of all of those.
Yes. I find that the blending is the only way that you can actually have true freedom and make it stick. Because one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest problems is that you have to do really boring things for years. That's what
Yes.
health is. You're doing really boring, mundane, routine things. It's not going to be super, super complex. It's not always going to be super advanced. A lot of it is these essential foundations. You need to build your house on stone. And it just takes consistency. And that's one of the biggest problems that most women have with their health is being able to stick with something for more than 2 weeks, a month, or 3 months. We really
Yes.
need you to see this through for years and years at a time. And it needs to be absorbed as a lifestyle. It needs to become part of your identity, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, this morning, I was on a walk. The last couple months have been pretty chaotic. I don't want to say chaotic. They've been very full. And my schedules and my routines have kind of shifted because of just certain demands. Today, this morning, I was on a walk early in the morning, listening to birds and an audiobook with my dog. And I was like, oh, this feels so me. And just that thought crossed my mind that I was like, yeah, this is what me feels like, having these simple structures and routines. But I think a lot of women don't even get to the point where the healthy routine feels like you because you don't get
Mm-hmm.
to absorb it long enough. You know what I'm saying? We haven't
Mm-hmm.
practiced it long enough for it to even become part of you. The way that maybe daily mass or daily prayer, you're like, this is so me. Of course I go to mass every single day, come hell or high water. Of course I open up my Magnificat every single morning. So one thing that I think is really helpful is the principle that you can transfer across. So if you are really solid in your faith, if you're listening to this podcast, I would guess that you are either in that boat or you want to be in that boat.
Yes.
You probably do have certain structures, disciplines, principles, truths, realities that you live out of, right? That there are certain things that once were challenging and now are easy and second nature for you. I remember starting to go to daily mass when I was a college student. In the beginning, I was like, this is so foreign. What is going on? I had to write it into my schedule. I couldn't remember. I didn't even know which churches to go to at what time.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to figure that out. But now it's I can close my eyes and I can walk to the churches that I'm going to go to easily. And when it comes to your nutrition, I think Catholic women in particular, they hold the sanctity of their soul and prayer and sacraments at a very high esteem, as they ought to. And so then you can actually transfer that kind of habit and the discipline that you've built there and transfer it into, say, your lifestyle, your nutrition, your exercise. And it also
Mhm.
enriches it because I think a lot of times we have a very low tolerance for silly things or things that you don't see the value in, or things that you don't know how it's going to pay off in your life. Whereas with confession, you have a very direct and a deep understanding of what that's going to do for you if you go once a month or one time at all.
Mhm.
And so to add that layer of depth and richness into your health and nutrition strategies by making sure that you're thinking about, well, like the things that I do with my body do affect my soul, and me having discipline with my flesh is actually going to bring me deeper freedom, and me encountering Jesus in my sufferings and my physical sufferings is going to help me know him better, and really making sure that we're constantly communicating those two. Otherwise, it won't stick.
Yes, absolutely. And something that I come back to in my own personal life all the time is we don't rush what we want to keep. So things like our health, we don't want to rush. It would be so nice to drop 20, 30 pounds in a month, but doing that isn't, you're likely not going to keep that progress. So things we want to keep long term, we don't want to rush the progress on them. So I really appreciate how you hit on that. And the other thing that this brought up to my mind is, okay, so we want to add these habits, like you said, maybe like a walk or daily mass, just any new routine we want to add to our lives. But we only have so many hours in a day. And so, in order to pick something up, we do have to take something off our plates. So, how do you balance finding space in our time, in our daily schedules for healthy habits, healthy routines, while also being realistic that people who don't have these routines right now are going to have to put other things down? Maybe it's just scroll time. Maybe it's a movie at the end of the night. I don't know what people's schedules are like, but maybe it is someone who is packed. They're working all day, they're home with their kids. They don't scroll and they don't watch TV. They just really have a really packed schedule. How do you determine what needs to get set down so that they can pick up these healthy habits?
Oof, good question. I First things first, I worked with a lot of women very, very closely. We've
Mhm.
had hundreds of women graduate from our program, and 9 times out of 10, for the single woman, I'll say 9.5 times out of 10, someone who says that they don't have time is probably losing time elsewhere. I will say it gets a little bit more complex when someone is a mom. We have young moms in our programs too, and that is where it's a little bit different because the demands on their life are different.
Mhm.
But the first thing is, if you're going, "I'm too busy to keep an exercise schedule. I'm too busy to go grocery shopping. I'm too busy to cook for myself." First, check your screen time. So direct. Go open your phone. Tell me how many hours you're spending scrolling. Don't look at the general one that includes your maps and like different things like that, your phone
Mhm.
calls. No, no, no. Look at specifically your social media time, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, the things that you're wasting time on. Go add up how many hours a day that is. If it is more than an hour a day, then you definitely, great news, phenomenal news. You have time. You have time to add in. The second thing is that when something is new to you and you lack skill, it will immediately seem more complex. Think about like high school math class. You having zero geometry skills, the first time you're exposed to like Pythag, you're like, I don't know what's happening in these different formulas. By the end of the class, though, if I show that to you now, you'd be like, duh, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like, that's so easy. But when you
Mhm.
lack skill, your brain will very easily overcomplicate it and get overwhelmed because it just doesn't know. So I
Mhm.
think if you don't have the skill of a regular fitness routine, if you don't have the
Mhm.
skill of knowing how to go to the store, efficiently shop for yourself, and then make 10 to 20 meals out of that, it will seem very complex. So I would say let's make really, really actionable and simple starts. So if you have not worked out at all and you want to lose 30 pounds and you know that you're going to have to start going to the gym and you have a sedentary job and you know that this is going to be really important for you, then I would say, okay, what is like your minimum viable amount of time? What is your smallest baby step that you can have to make sure that we start ingraining this new identity? Everything should come back to the identity piece. If you only think about the habit, you're missing the whole heart of it. So the identity of, in order for me to reach this goal, if you're like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year and I'm going to do it over 6 months. I love what you said about taking times. And if it's not slow, it's not human. So if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this over about 6 months, then I need to be someone that enjoys moving her body. I need to be someone that sees going to the gym as a stress reliever. I need to be someone who is excited. I need to be someone who actually feels weird if she doesn't work out, right? Those are like the identity pieces that we need. And so then thinking, okay, well, how's that going to start? If you're going from 0 workouts and you are sedentary all day and you actually are on a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 2 in terms of confidence at the gym, that you're like, I walk in and I get overwhelmed and I don't know what's happening, then I would say, well, you probably just need to build the habit of getting dressed and going to the gym 3 times a week. That's the habit. Like physically showing up and walking through the doors and then being there for like 10 minutes. Like if someone and that someone might hear that and the overachiever is like, "Flo, give me more." Like that sounds so dumb. That sounds so small. But like your dopamine isn't even released for like the first 10 minutes of an activity. So the motivation and the kick in and the reward isn't going to kick in until then. But if we can start with the smallest possible habit where it feels too dumb not to do, you're like, that's so small. How would I skip that? Then that's the foundation of a true habit. So really starting with, what are your time sinks first? And then second, what is the smallest possible baby step that we can set up for an identity-based transformation rather than just a little goal or a habit that isn't properly rooted.
If you've ever thought, I wish I actually understood my cycle, this is for you. The Fertility 101 full course from BOMA USA, Billings Method, teaches you how to read your natural fertility signs with confidence and clarity. You'll start with a live intro class over Zoom and then get 4 private chart reviews with a certified instructor. BOMA's method is simple, science-based, and 100% natural. And the best part is you don't need to rely on an app or algorithm. This course also counts for pre-Cana marriage prep if you need an NFP certificate for your marriage prep. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and actually understand your body, go to BOMA-USA.org and sign up for the Fertility 101 full course. You can use the discount code Catholic20 for the full course, or if you're not ready for the full course yet, they have a one-time class you can sign up for, and you can also use the discount code Catholic5 for that one-time $50 class. So check out BOMA, BOMA-USA.org, and use the code Catholic20 on their full fertility course, or Catholic5 for the one-time $50 class. Trust me, NFP and learning your fertility has totally changed my life and my health, and I highly encourage every single woman, whether you're single, engaged, or married, to do so as well. If you're a woman of faith who wrestles with worry, overwhelm, racing thoughts, or the weight of expectations, you're not alone. And you don't have to just push through it. I want to introduce you to today's episode sponsor, Catherine Danuzzo, a licensed professional counselor in private practice who offers distance counseling to individuals seeking emotional peace rooted in their Catholic faith. Catherine is also the founder of the apostolate Sacred Heart Mental Wellness, which brings together psychology, Catholic spirituality, and devotion to the most sacred heart of Jesus. Catherine is the author of The Catholic Guide Through Anxiety, a powerful resource helping readers understand what's happening in their minds and hearts through a Catholic lens. And now she has released a brand new companion workbook for the Catholic Guide Through Anxiety, which gently guides you through prayer, journaling, reflection, and real-life application. It is perfect for individual use, parish groups, or Bible studies, campus ministries, and spiritual direction. You can search for both books on Amazon right now or visit sacredheartmentalwellness.com to learn more. And if you do purchase through their site instead of on Amazon, you can also use the code CWP15 for 15% off the entire shop, including all of Catherine's workbooks and books. So sacredheartmentalwellness.com with code CWP15 for 15% off her entire shop. And if your parish, ministry, retreat, conference, or college campus is looking for a Catholic speaker who connects faith, psychology, and practical emotional tools, Catherine Denuzzo is available for speaking engagements nationwide. Again, search The Catholic Guide Through Anxiety on Amazon or visit sacredheartmentalwellness.com and use code CWP15 to learn more, schedule counseling, and bring Catherine to your next event. All of that can be found on her website, sacredheartmentalwellness.com. Okay, so you've mentioned identity-based transformations a few times, and I really want to dig into that because for me, I'm someone who doesn't really enjoy work. Even afterwards, I just don't love how I don't know. I don't love heavy lifting and stuff like that, but I do enjoy walking, even just on a treadmill. I enjoy walking, or I like YouTube dance workouts or things like that. How does someone find something that works for them that's tough enough? Because I feel like that can be something I struggle with too. I'm like, well, did I really get a good workout in? That's the workout that they need, but that is enjoyable for them because we all enjoy different things. And I don't think, I mean, you do want to do things that are hard and challenge you and that you don't like sometimes too. So I think there is a place for that. But also, like you said, to make it a part of your identity, how do you do that?
Yeah, great question. Okay, let's use you as a test, yeah?
Great. Yes.
So if you're like, you're like, I already love these things. First, do you have if you're thinking about exercise, is there a particular reason why you would want to have a different exercise routine than what you already have? Or is there any particular goal or motivation that you have to want to change your exercise?
Yeah, I want to lose weight faster and tone muscle more.
Oh, let's go. Okay, stunning. Do you know the type of exercise that is the most effective to help you lose fat?
Is it cardio?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. That's what most people I think would guess. So what is it?
Proper weightlifting, a proper strength training routine
Okay.
with progressive overload will help you build muscle. Because what we don't want is this blind, dated, incomplete, and honestly super unhelpful exercise or kind of more diet culture workouts, which is just I'm going to drop my calories as low as possible. I'm going to go run on the treadmill as long as possible and do as much cardio as I can to try and
Mhm.
lose weight. Where when you're losing weight, yeah, maybe the scale is going down, but what are we
Mhm.
losing? You could be losing
Yep.
first, you're going to lose water. Okay. It's not that much of that's not big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then second, you might be losing muscle. If you're not properly fueling and if you're overtraining or you're training incorrectly, you're actually just going to lose the precious muscle that you have. So when you
Okay.
think about, you said, I want to lose some weight and I want to tone muscle, you also have to think about identity based. Who do I want to be 10 years from now? Can I ask how old you are, Marie?
I'm 26, almost 27.
Oh my gosh, stunning, a baby. So
Yeah.
you're okay. How do I want to be in my late 30s, right? 10
Mhm.
years from now you'd be 36. What do I
Mhm.
want to look like? What do I want to feel like? What do I want to be able to do? And I am saying, what do I want to look like? Which do you feel
Mhm.
like this? Because I've had so many women tell me this, that they feel like as a Catholic girl, it's really, really vain to care at all what they look like. And that shouldn't be a part of their motivation at all. Have you felt like that or have you heard
Yes,
that?
I have, and I'm in business coaching too, and it's a lot of mindset coaching, but you realize, you know, God made us to naturally be drawn to things that are beautiful too. So it's not wrong to want to be beautiful and love your body.
Literally. So you can have
Mhm.
aesthetic goals and still be very holy.
Yes.
You can
Yes,
and there's
absolutely.
a place obviously where it becomes vanity, but if you're
Yes.
thinking about yourself at 36 and you're like you're not like a cloud. You're not this angelic
Mhm.
spiritual being that doesn't have a body. You're allowed to picture what you want to look like and what you want your life to look like in 10 years. So part of
Yeah.
that is once we reach our mid to late 30s, we actually start losing muscle as women, which
Okay.
that over the course of 30, 40, 50 years is a profound concern because muscle loss leads to greater injury. That also leads to poor blood sugar control. So we really care about the muscle that's on your body. All that to say, long
Mhm.
story short, strength training is really critical. So then, once you form your intellect in your mind to saying, well, why is this important? Why do I need this? We don't go off of just vibes. We can't just be like, what do I
Mhm.
feel like doing? Because we know that this isn't true in any other area of our life. There's no area of your life where it's like, what do I feel like? We have to go based off of what is true, and then our will be adjusted to want to do what is good.
Mhm.
So if you're like, okay, wow, I didn't realize that strength training was going to be so effective, you actually
Mhm.
might be way more excited to go if you knew that it was going to work for you and if you knew that it was going to benefit you for the long haul.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, now
Your
I have a
your
follow-up question
emotions
that's
would
though.
change.
Yes. So
Hit me, let's go.
I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and the hardest part of my life has been the hormone fluctuations. I was thin, and I won't say fit because I really didn't have muscle. I do think it was a calorie deficit, and it was just all eating everything. Had my babies, it was breastfeeding both times. Like, then I got pregnant and I lost the weight, and then it was breastfeeding and I gained the weight. So how do you work with hormonal changes like that? And still, I understand our bodies will change, but how do you keep kind of long-term progress when women are going through the cycle of having babies?
Yes, so beautiful. That's the story of the majority of Catholic women, right?
Mhm.
Is that
Yes.
you're in this constant state of preconception and postpartum,
Yes.
and you're rotating between these stages. This is where having proper strategy built into what you're doing every single day, your fitness and nutrition should already take into account that you are a woman in your late 20s with 2 children, because part of that strategy is gonna be your time,
Mhm.
um, with a certain wherever your hormones are at, and then with whatever goals you have for your fertility and for your aesthetic goals. So all of
Okay.
that should be baked in. That's where proper strategy saves you a lot of a headache.
Yes.
And the one thing I want you to know is that your circumstances and like the cycling of where you are and being a year postpartum and then also 3 years postpartum doesn't inhibit you from seeing the progress that you want to see. It might be different than what you thought it would be, and it
Mhm.
might take being attuned and it might take changing certain habits, but you can
Mhm.
absolutely still have those goals accomplished with the hormonal state that you're in.
That's great to hear because I know a lot of our listeners
Yeah.
are moms who are still in their
Yeah.
fertile years, and I know that's a big struggle with a lot of women is all the weight fluctuations because of the hormones that come with pregnancy and postpartum and preconception, all that. So that's good to know.
And I will say, I think also part of so much of it is your mind that you have to shift because I do think it can be easy to be like, "Ugh, like, I'm gonna lose all the weight to gain it again." And if we're only focused on the weight, that would be super, super frustrating and disheartening, and I could see where someone would not even want to try in that position.
Yes.
But thinking, you said you're like, "Man, I don't know if I was super fit." So adding on this different layer of being like, "Wow, I actually want to have a certain level of fitness. I want to be able to accomplish certain physical, challenges. Like, I want to be able to run in a certain amount of time. I want to be able to carry certain things. I want to be able to lift a certain amount." If we have those deeper goals, also
Mhm.
recognizing that your postpartum is a lot of the times determined by what you were doing in your pregnancy and preconception. So someone who
Okay.
already works out regularly will work out through her whole pregnancy and then will have a
Mhm.
really easy time getting back into working out. This is where sometimes people get frustrated with like the fitness influencers that are snapping back really fast when it's like
Mhm.
sometimes the people that are doing it in a healthy way, sometimes it's just that they had this discipline and this muscle and this structure. And so their body is really quick to be able to adjust and it's safe for them to do so. They were
Mhm.
working out preconception. So working out throughout their entire pregnancy is very, very safe because they know how to do it. Right?
Mhm.
So, also acknowledging that, like, the building blocks that you set will pay off way longer and way more beautifully than you even imagine. Like, you will reap what you sow 10 times over if you reap carefully. If you sow
Mm.
carefully.
That's really good to know. And I really like how you pointed out that strategy is really kind of like what it boils down to, strategy and then the faith mindset portion. Obviously, I feel like people need to just buy your book because I know there's going to be a lot in there. But if they had to start somewhere for someone who's feeling overwhelmed, maybe she's a single woman, maybe she's older, maybe she's in menopause and just hasn't because she's had lots of babies ever really sat down to like figure this out and just wants to get healthy. What's the best place for someone to start? Is it with the mindset and faith aspect? Is it with fitness? Is it with, well, when I say fitness, I mean working out. Is it with the nutrition? Where should somebody even start to create this strategy or just to create a simple habit, one simple habit before they stack on more?
Great question. I would start with the end in mind. So there won't be a one size fits all answer because what's important to me might not be important to you, and it might not be as important for the next girl, but there might be something that's super motivating for you specifically that you could make easy. A lot of the times we want to just swim upstream. Oh, we want to stop swimming upstream and we want to go with the current. That's like one of the easiest ways. If you're looking at your whole life and you're like, woof, I've got a lot of room for improvement. I've got a lot of work to do with my nutrition, with my fitness, with my mindset, with my prayer. Like there's so many different areas that I would say are at between like a 1 to 4 out of 10. They're not where I want them to be. And easily your brain will be like, oh, there's too many things. And then you're going to freeze. And then there's paralysis by analysis of being like, I don't even know where to start. But I would say first, map out the end in mind. One exercise that's in the very beginning of the book, because I have every single client do it in our first week of working together, is what kind of woman do you want to be? You sit down with a pen and paper and you just finish the prompt and you let your brain flow and your pen flow for as long as you can. I want to be the kind of woman that blank. See what comes out. This might be something super abstract. Like, I want to be the kind of woman that is a soft place to land for others, that is a fount of grace in her home and overflows, right? They can be really beautiful and it's abstract, but you can see it. It can be super practical. I want to be the kind of woman that can hike 5 miles without needing to stop uphill. Right? That is extremely concrete. And that might be something that's really important to someone. I have a client right now who she knows that she's going on vacation with her sister in a few months, and she wants to be able to comfortably get in and out of her kayak. That is something that is very motivating for her and very important. And so starting with those things. So first I would just brain dump. What kind of woman do you want to be? Start with the end in mind, because then you optimize towards that goal. So then the second step would be, where's the path of least resistance and the path of most excitement? So if you map out those things and you're like, and I want to be the Julia Child of my home, but that also knows how to do it in a healthy way, that can help me lose weight. And I want to be someone who hits 10,000 steps every single day. And I want to be someone who has an evening routine and a morning routine and sleeps 8 hours a night, whatever it may be. The one that you look at, write the whole list out. The one that you look at and you're like, "Ah, if I only started with this one, that would change the trajectory of my life. Like my quality of life would improve dramatically in 1 week of me committing to that one habit. And I'm really excited to start it. Start with that. A lot of times people think that like a health journey needs to be this like grueling 75 hard and it's going to be miserable and it's going to be really intense. When it's like, actually start with the thing that you're excited about and let the rest domino down. You'll just catch a lot more flies with honey. I believe that 100%. And especially as women, like we want our lives to be beautiful and lovely. And especially if you're doing it alone and you are going to have to be self-motivated and ask for a lot of grace in the beginning, go with the path of least resistance. So if you look at that whole thing and you're like, out of everything, the thought of me walking every single day and hitting 10,000 steps fires me up. Or I have never identified as a gym girl, but if I was like excited about working out and I pictured myself as a gym girly, that would change my life, then that's where you begin. I would start with that.
Okay, that's good to know. And then one more thing I do want to ask about. I've heard about the fuel method. Can you first explain that? And then I want to know what role that plays in like restoring energy and stability and peace in our hearts.
Yeah. So I put this together because one of the main questions that I was getting was, Flo, I don't know who to believe. There is so much conflicting health advice out there. I don't know where to start and I don't know who to believe. So I put together this fuel method so that you could use it as a filter. Also because I care about you optimizing your health. I care about you transforming your hormones and your gut and being at a healthy weight and having this like longevity approach to your health. I care about those things deeply. And at the same time, I really deeply care that you protect your mind in the process. Because of my own story with disordered eating, and most of our clients have struggled with that too, I think that that's a huge gap that's often overlooked, in that when you're making health changes, if you have a history of disordered eating, you're going to do it a little bit differently. And you are always going to have to pay attention to your brain. And that's not something to be ashamed of. It's not a limiter at all. You can accomplish a million things and you would be shocked how much slower it can heal your brain, but you do need to be aware of it. So this is a filter so that you can know, okay, who's telling the truth, or like, what should I be focusing my energy on? Or is this trend worth my effort? And how do I make sure that I take care of myself and my mind, my body, my soul in the process? So fuel stands for F, is it should be flexible. Is this something that I can go live a year's worth of a normal life with and be fine? So an example of that would be like, will I be able to go to dinner parties whilst on this diet? Because if not, I would have to have total control of every single thing that is on my plate, and I would not be able to accept an invitation to dinner without bringing my own meal prep in my own container, then that will likely not be suitable for you because it's not going to be sustainable. So is it flexible? And then two, does it keep your mind flexible? Something that I really struggled with. I have some like personal beef with Whole30 because just I shouldn't have done it. I wasn't the kind of person that it was made for, and it was really, really harmful for me to have that list of, like, allowed and not allowed foods. It just was not
Mhm.
good for my brain with my history of disordered eating. So, I found that my brain was getting extremely rigid. Like, it locked in, and it wanted as many rules as possible, and stepping outside of those rules, I would, like, freak out. And so that's one big question is your brain able to remain flexible, and are you able to remain flexible while doing X plan? The second thing is it universal, which is so Catholic of us, but the same way that you can go anywhere in the world and find a daily mass, likely, you should be able to go anywhere in the world and take your habits with you. That's how you know that they're foundational habits rather than fads. So the
Mm.
principles of blood sugar regulation, mineral balancing, your circadian rhythm, proper nourishment, proper exercise, those things you can take with you wherever you go. And then there's
Mhm.
also the truth of there should be foundational principles that are universal to everyone. Yes, there's nuance. Yes, there's specific things for your body that's going to be really important, but there needs to be these foundational principles. Again, building our house on a rock.
Mm.
The third piece is it should be energizing. If you are on a juice cleanse that is sucking the life out of you and you like can't even function or you don't even have the patience and the bandwidth to like entertain a conversation with your toddler, then this is likely not the right plan for you. You should be
Mhm.
focused on having more energy. That's what your food and your lifestyle, your nutrition should be doing for you. So making sure that it's energizing you. And then the last piece is it should be lovely, which I think is skipped a lot. But like
I
you
like
said,
that.
women, we're attuned to look for beauty and we're not masochists, right? You're not gonna, like, stick
Mhm.
with this horrible plan that
Mhm.
makes you hate your life and sucks the joy out of every minute, but there should be
Mhm.
a certain level to it, and that's how when you look at people that have accomplished things on their health journey, there's something about it that they like. There's
Mhm.
there the girl that loves going to the gym, she doesn't hate it. Like, she goes and she's blowing off steam. She's proud of
Mhm.
herself. She's excited to see how much her weight's increase next week. I get I, like, couldn't stop bragging to my husband that I did 1 set of 90 pounds on my lat pull down this week. I was, like, so fired up because I didn't know that I could do that. So, having those things of there's a certain loveliness to it, even if it seems challenging or if it's strange or yeah, there's discipline. There's sometimes like I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm really glad when
Mhm.
I'm leaving. So making sure
Mhm.
that there's a loveliness to it, that you see that this adds value and beauty to your life in a certain way, shape, or form.
I love that. Okay, before we close out, because I know we're kind of nearing the end of our time, on the energy point, I need to get your opinion on something. Maybe it's in your book. I have your book, but I just got it, so I haven't read it yet. What is your opinion on coffee? Because I feel like this is such a hot topic. It's either like stay away from it or it's fine. I don't know. I just have to ask.
I know that as a mom, you see coffee differently than you probably did like 8 years ago. Um, the problem is when we're using it as our life force, as your
Mhm.
energy. If you can't get through the day without coffee, I would consider that a major problem. So the concern is that we're using caffeine to mask a deeper problem, a deeper energy issue, a deeper sleep issue, a deeper depletion issue, a deeper nervous system issue, and that we're
Mhm.
relying it on it wholeheartedly. I've also seen there's also the reality of coffee dulls your hunger. So there's a lot of moms that drink a lot of coffee to get through the day and they're completely underfueling.
Mm.
So I do have the majority of our clients do a 30-day caffeine experiment, and I'm very happy to tell you that a lot of them are moms and that they literally finish it and they're like, "I don't think I'm gonna go back. I don't think I'm gonna add it
That's
back in at all.
awesome.
I feel so much better than I've ever felt." So with the proper structures, you don't need coffee. If you are just like a
Mhm.
coffee connoisseur and you really enjoy it and it's a very special thing for you, it's not something that I'm trying to take away from you, but I would assess, 1, is this taking the place of the proper tools that would give you real lasting energy, like sleep, food, and hydration, and movement and time outside. If I didn't have this, would I completely burn out? And have I become so reliant on it that I can't even imagine my life without it? That's one thing that I always just find a
Mm,
little bit concerning is if we're getting completely attached to something and you think you
mhm.
won't be able to function without it, there's probably something deeper that needs to be addressed. But if you
Okay.
enjoy a cup and you can have it when you're well fueled and you're sleeping and or to the best of your ability, I know
Yeah.
young moms are going to be like, "What do you mean?" To the best of your abilities, and you're doing the things that will actually energize you, and that's a nice add-on, that's one thing, but please, 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 you deserve so much better than just running off of coffee every single second of the day.
Yes, I love that. All right. So, where can people find you? Where can they find your book? And then actually tell us a little bit more about your coaching program and what you have with that too.
Yes. So if you're going to head to another podcast right now, you can just type in Made Good on wherever you listen to your podcasts, and on Instagram at the Catholic Nutritionist. And then our signature program is called Made Good. We've helped hundreds of women find freedom in their relationship with food, their energy, and their hormones, and making sure that they are living their full and blessed life and have the root cause tools to get them there. So we work with women all over the country and all over the world sometimes. So if you're really looking for a whole person, Christ-centered, and feminine-focused approach, we're here for you. You can find it all on our website or on my Instagram or on the podcast, but it's all there.
Oh, love that. And all that will be linked in the show notes. I really highly recommend going to check out her work, even just to follow along on Instagram. It's just really fun and helpful. And also help her find her book because I know we're going to get this. We're going to get it eventually. But Flo,
I
thank
will
you so
report
much for
back.
being here. I know, yes, you need
Thank
to. We
you.
need to keep an update on this saga. But thank you for being here. And thank you also to Birdie Candles, Choose Life, Boma USA, and Sacred Heart Mental Wellness for sponsoring this episode. Thank you guys. If this helped you, please send this episode to your sister, to your mom, to a friend, to any woman in your life who really could benefit from this message as well. We all want everyone in our life to have the healthiest life possible. That's just the biggest blessing in our life is our health. So let's send this to our friends, to our moms, to our sisters, help them get healthier and be in a better place too. And I will see you all in 2 weeks.